Can men over 40 build muscle as fast as in their 20s? Well, guess what? The answer is a resounding yes. And we are going to look today at the science that shows us that that's a fact. Now, let me tell you something. I'm in my 50s. I'm a professional natural bodybuilder. So I'm living proof that you can naturally gain muscle. Now, the process might be a little bit different, and that's what we're going to talk about. But let's start by looking at what the science says and what some of the research says right now. A study on trained athletes aged 40 to 81 found no significant decline in lean muscle mass or strength as they aged. Now, keep in mind, this means that you have to be doing something. You can't just say, well, I'm going to age and not decline muscle mass while I watch TV. There has to be the activation of the muscles and use of the muscles for this to make sense. Okay, another 6-month study compared younger and older men following the exact same weight training program. And guess what? The results showed that both groups gained muscle at basically the same rate. And here's another one. A 16-week study found that older adults activated the same muscle growth pathways as younger individuals, and their muscle fiber size increased by almost 30%. And their strength gains, though not right up with the younger group, were in the same, just slightly behind the younger group. So let's bring it to where we are today. So if we're struggling to add muscle today, then we can say, well, it's not our bodies, so it has to be something else. So that's what we're going to talk about today. What are the practical things that you need to be doing and doing differently in your 40s and 50s and 60s than you did in your 20s and 30s when it comes to adding muscle? So let's get right into it. We are going to start with protein. We talk about protein a lot on the channel and its importance for muscle gain, importance for maintaining muscle. But here's the thing, as we age, one of the things that happens is we experience something called anabolic resistance, which means our body doesn't absorb protein as efficiently as we age as we did in our 20s and 30s. So the research shows right now that in your 40s and 50s, we should be consuming somewhere between 45 and 55 grams of protein per meal. We also, in terms of protein for our everyday protein intake, we know, we talk about this on the channel also, that's 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body weight. So, if we're carrying an extra 20 or 30 pounds, we don't include that in that number. But whatever that number it comes out to be of grams of protein, divided into somewhere between 3 and 5 meals, but where you're consuming somewhere in that, 40 to 55 range of protein in each meal. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, and this one is huge and one that often gets, I think, forgotten, especially in the fast-paced, culture and life that we live in, and that is make sure that you are getting enough sleep. Sleep is so vital to the muscle building process, to the recovery process, to just being fresh when we get in the gym. We've done a bunch of episodes on the importance of sleep, but let me just throw a couple out here. And really, we should be trying to get somewhere between 6 and 9 hours of sleep a night. A recent study found that just 1 week of 5 hours of sleep, so deprived sleep of 5 hours of sleep, resulted in a reduction in testosterone and a reduction in protein synthesis. So sleep is so important, and obviously our bodies need to recover from the workouts, and not just our bodies, our brains need to recover from life, and that's part of what happens when we sleep. So that sleep time is of vital importance. Okay, what else? The other thing is, as we go to the gym, we want to train with sufficient intensity. So I just did an episode on that, talking about why we need to train heavy. So you can look at that one. But the other part I want to add to that is we want to train with sufficient volume. So the research is showing that, increasing our volume is an important part of muscle growth as we age. Now, that doesn't mean go to the gym tomorrow and double your workout in volume right now, but it does mean maybe you start adding one set per body part and just seeing how your body responds to that, and then increase that maybe the following week or a couple of weeks later, so that we're gradually increasing the volume. And as we do that, our body is going to respond appropriately. So those are real simple, but three simple things that we should be doing in our 40s, 50s, and 60s: increasing our protein intake, making sure that we are getting enough sleep, and having sufficient volume and intensity when we go to the gym. And really, we don't want to go to the gym and mail it in. So make sure we're ready to go when we go. And here's the other thing is start right where you're at. So if you haven't been going to the gym, start today. Do something and take those steps. If you're saying, hey, I want to increase my muscle mass and just kind of ramp up my training a little bit, we've seen from the science, it doesn't matter your age here. You can do that at any age, but make that decision and start taking those steps now and step out into it. So, this would be great. Throw in the comments, what are your things that you're doing that you say, hey, this is my go-to that really works for me? It helps all of us, helps me, because I read all the comments. But if you're saying, hey, this is my one thing I've found, I'd like to know what that is. Throw it in the comments. What is your kind of big thing that you found out that really helps you? I understand it's not always one thing, but maybe you're going to say, I really found that I do more reps with a good weight, but when I do squats, or I do this exercise, or I eat protein, this kind of protein works best for me. But whatever it is, or maybe it's something completely different. But throw it in the comments. Thanks for watching today. If you haven't, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel. We're putting out lots of great content. Just want to help us all to, as we say on the channel, age gracefully. So thank you for joining me. We'll see you next time.